What's up, y'all? It's been several weeks. I don't even know how many weeks. But here we are. Here we are again together, seated. I'm seated with just a moment, maybe 10 minutes, hopefully, to get some thoughts out, get some language out, stay committed to this journey of showing up and speaking. And we're not always going to be consistent at everything, especially me, especially some of us with a human design that is non energy driven. If you know human design, you know what I mean. But yeah, been giving myself just permission to really let things flow when it comes to creativity and this illumination work that has been such a huge part of my life, such a driving force behind truly everything that I do. And the big why of being inside of wellness for myself has been to take a deeper look at really everything, but to go beyond what I know at the surface about myself, about my body, about health, wellness, God, the earth, relationships, literally everything. That's the driving why. And I think for so many of us, that questioning and that quality has been in us for a long time. If it didn't get squashed by the system or your conditioning or trauma, if you still have it intact, it's a pretty brave thing to do in these times, to say, you know what, I'm gonna ask questions, and I'm hearing what this is telling me, or you're telling me, or this book is telling me, but I'm also learning how to check in with myself and those parts of myself that I'm getting to know that are incredibly pure and innocent and loving, unconditional loving. Because, the core of my path is that everyone, anybody here listening, especially, everyone has that access to that core of their being that is pure. Not everybody is connected to it. Not everybody knows that it's there. Not everybody is operating from it. Not everybody knows even how to do that. But it is there. And so much of the harm that's been done on our planet to humanity is just the severing off of people from that part of themselves that is so sweet and awesome and unique and quirky and lovely. It's what gives people their loveliness. And it's so apparent to me now as I'm going deeper into my motherhood journey, getting ready to bring another baby here. It's so clear to me that that is innate to us, our pureness. And that the environment we're brought up in is so important. What we're exposed to. Today I just want to speak to a piece of my journey that feels important to talk about, because I got asked about this and I'm like, I think I have a podcast where I talk more about it. And I think I've been dancing around it for, close to 50 episodes, but I haven't given you an update or shared some recent things about this, and it's grief as a teacher. Grief as a teacher. And this experience of grieving, and how it has become a close friend of mine the past couple of years. And I continue to learn from it, and I continue to want to share, because grief can really cripple an individual. It can suffocate that part of themselves, their pureness, because it's so painful. Loss is so painful. The other end, of course, is just pretending like it's not painful and just keeping going. But then there's a level of numbing of the self that happens as well. So, as with all things on this path, we learn how to sit with the scary stuff and the hard stuff. And I desire just to give you a little language today on what has become more and more clear for myself. With the hopes of it serving someone, because we all gonna lose somebody. Probably. We're probably all gonna lose someone. We're probably all gonna experience loss. Probably all gonna, maybe sit alongside someone that we love incredibly, and, they may leave before us. And depending on how much you let yourself love inside of this human life that you're in, will also depend on, I think, the depth of the grief and the loss that you feel. And it has become really clear to me that it gets to be fuel, the grief and the love, because it's the same thing. If you allow it to be fuel, you can also allow it to be kind of like a sludge that overtakes you in your heart and kind of stops your momentum for however long you allow that. And my dance has been those parts where I did just have to stop some shit and let it really recalibrate me and help me see what's most important, ways in which I was being that was unfair to the people that I lost. Sit and take time to forgive myself. Sit and take time to decide, what's next after you lose somebody. And if you haven't heard, like, if you're in my web, you know this story. But if you are stumbling upon this podcast episode and you don't know, I was sent to the University of Hard Knocks. It feels like about 3 years ago. It kind of started around this time 3 years ago. Let's see, that was 2022. I was pregnant with my baby. I mean, things were good. I was so excited to go through the motherhood portal, be pregnant. I had just begun or opened. I had gone through my dream of opening a wellness center in my hometown, and it was doing pretty good. So when everything started, it was like a very high point. Financially, I was, felt like I was really in my lane of being of service and balanced with all the things with Illumination Wellness. But then I go to Guatemala, and the Guatemala retreat, hot damn, it is a trajectory changer. It really just, I'm not saying everybody's life goes downhill after they go to Guatemala. Mine did. But things get amplified and clarity comes from that trip. And I went, had some just really cool things, insights happen. I'm pregnant, blah, blah, blah. I got this terrible Guatemalan water parasite coming home. Not fun. But I realized I was brushing my teeth with the water. So it's that's pretty much the same thing as drinking it. Silly girl. No more brushing my teeth with the sink water. Especially where we go. We just go to, this volcanic lake that is fairly remote. And just one of the most stunning places. So I go and I get delivered the astrological message that I'm about to go through a season of loss and change. And I was really pointing that internally to going from maiden to mother. I had been a, maiden for 34 years, just living my free-spirited wild Philly life. If you know my life before I became a mom, you know. Your girl liked to move around. I like to do stuff. I was just really out there. So I knew like slowing down, welcoming life was going to be a big change. But I didn't know, that I was going to be going through such immense loss. It started August 2022 with my little kitty cat Bodie. He was a little spirit cat. If you're a cat person and you really connect with the cat, he was just such a sweet guy. Had a very slow, painful death at our house from a poisoning. Then on my baby moon, a couple weeks before I gave birth, my stepsister, who I was raised with, died. It was very suddenly. I have my baby in October. December, my sister, my little sister, and, my absolute best friend, she was the person that everything was her and I, when it came to sharing life and insight and pain. And anyways, she had a several year just battle with different illnesses, ailments, cancer, liver stuff, and I could go deeper into how all that unfolded. But anyways, she exited this physical realm in a way that was just so heartbreaking to see. And, I had this 3-month-old baby. The last loss was my dog got hit in front of our house a couple months later. So it was like a full-blown, like, bitch, you about to learn about grief. I had this new baby, and I had committed the year prior to our retreat business, international retreat offering, committing to these trips. We were going on these trips. We had these retreats booked with these incredible people, and I was going. And so I'm so grateful for those trips because I had to just go, and I strapped my baby on my back, and we went. He went to, starting at 4 months old, he went to Africa, he went to Brazil, he went to Thailand, he went to Costa Rica, and Guatemala, and Ireland, all before he turned 2. And it's really crazy because I needed it so much. I needed just taking my baby on those planes and going on these retreats and showing up raw, learning that you can facilitate from a place where you don't feel your best. You don't feel even 50% capacity, but you're there and you're still showing up and you're still so committed to that connection to the pureness that I spoke to. And that was where I was. I was like, I just want to fully know the spectrum of my love for my sisters and their, what I'm supposed to do with all this pain and sadness. And, it changes. Grief changes you, and grief also changes forms as you go. It was so tender for me for so long at first. And, now almost, 3 years since it started, I'm going back to Guatemala next week, pregnant this time. So I can see now that you get far enough away from it and you are able to see the gift of it. And it doesn't mean I wouldn't trade having my sister back, and both of them. But it does mean that I know that, they would want me maximizing my life and learning. Like, I'm trying to connect with their asses. I'm trying to learn where they went. I'm trying to know what is beyond this little, tiny little 3D existence we're having. And it's really teaching me a lot about that. I'm studying so much about that. I'm having a really cool interview soon for you guys with one of my teachers in that. Because, yeah, we're just not told enough. We're just so like, okay, just trust that it's heaven and hell and go on with your life. It's like, that is not enough information for me. So, yeah, that loss has taught me like that there is more and there's more to explore. And, you know, it's given me an access point. But again, these all have had to be choices, conscious choices to say, grief, here you are. I am fucking terrified of you. But I know you're here and I can't avoid you being here. So, okay. You know, and I think that's how I approached motherhood. I think that's how I approached business and failure in business. Oh, I forgot to mention my beloved little yoga studio. Yeah, that all just fell apart. There's a whole other story around that. But yeah, that had to be like exited from my reality too, which was another big grief thing I had to go through. But I really couldn't hold it all. But I really did learn so much about owning a physical space and opening it. And man, that was such an incredible chapter. All of it, even, you know, while I was grieving, there was still this constant reminder of how cool and good it could be. The outside in my life was not perfect. And I don't know that it ever will be, you guys. I think it's just always going to be this unfolding, and we're learning how to be fully present for all parts of what our experience is holding. And that's one of the big things that grief has taught me. So this, you know, little reflection is for my sweet, sweet friend who reached out because she's dealing with her own grief and heartache. And yeah, it's a big heart teacher. And I love that for all of us, because these hearts is where we're all being called back to. If you're listening to this, if you walk with me, if you know what I'm talking about, you know that connection to yourself, to your life, to your people, authentic, real, not virtual connection, like being together, actually being together. And there's so many people that do not know how to do that, which is why I just go back to the retreats. I go back to, you know, saying yes to putting yourself in environments where at least everybody has the intention to show up and hold space for themselves and each other. You just get to go right past the surface level, which surface is fine. It has purpose. But many of us, yeah, we've just for a long time wanted to go deeper. Grief can help you with that. Everything painful you've ever witnessed or are currently witnessing, it can help you. And I hold that knowing now for my own journey. So thank you so much for sitting with me today. Look at us go for 20 minutes almost. Yeah, next time you hear from me, I'll be in Guatemala. I'll record something in Guatemala for you guys. And, you know, I'm just keeping on keeping on. This little baby girl, this is a girl. This baby girl is coming. And she's already teaching me so much. And, yeah, I'm grateful to have so many cool beings like yourself, if you're listening to this, that are so committed as well. You know, just stay committed to your journey, to your path, to your unfolding, to the vision you have for your life. Purify your heart. Alchemize that which has been painful into fuel for the whole picture that you're actualizing, and do less harm to yourself and others, and don't be an asshole, and keep it real and be authentic. Let your freak flag fly, everybody, all of us. What is the thing that has made you quirky and weird and silly and, a little embarrassed? Like, that's your secret sauce. So here's to all of us just letting our little secret sauce out more and more. So that's the shit I'm here for. Love you guys so much. Let's take a big breath in and let it go.